Good morning. Welcome to another episode of Feed Me Friday. How's everybody doing this week? Let's see. What do I want to tell you guys? Oh yes, the class last week went really well. I hate to call it a class. Okay, it's not a class. Because calling it a class, it's like people get all crazy about it. So, in the support group that we started last week, two gentlemen came, and it was funny. I had two people sign up for the class. Neither of those people came, but instead it was two completely different people. And it was great. We played the game, discover which foods raise your blood sugar. I want to say this right off the bat though. It was a man and his son. The older gentleman, he said he was 86. And he said that he recognized me from somewhere. And he's like, do you work here? I'm like, no. He's like, how about here? I'm like, no. And he just couldn't put his finger on where he recognized me from. I said, maybe I just have, one of those faces that looks like a lot of different people. And he said, maybe. So anyway, we played the game. We had a good time. We talked about like the changes that you need to make to your diet in order to keep the blood sugar down. And they had some good questions and stuff. So it's funny because at the end, I started talking about being at the fair. And the dad was like, wait, the Kimberton Fair? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, that's where I remember you from. Here, both of them had stopped by my table when I was at the fair doing the game. And they remembered me from that. And I was like, that is too funny. The son said, he's like, I thought these foods looked familiar. And I'm like, that's great. I love that. So anyway, we were asking them when they would like to meet up again. And the dad said once a week. So we're going to try to get there again this week and see what happens. So I'm thinking we could probably do a different topic almost every week. And then it's also checking in with everybody and saying, okay, so how'd you do? What'd you notice? What were your results? Things like that. So yeah, I can't wait. That's going to be tomorrow night. Let's see what else to talk about. I think it's interesting sometimes. I was talking to someone in the group the other day, our diabetic group, and now let me just preface this by saying that I understand people are scared. When you've had a health issue and someone's coming along to tell you to eat something that you think might make the health issue worse, that's scary, and I don't really blame them for not wanting to listen. So this person was saying that fiber was important, and that if they didn't get in enough, because they had colon cancer and they had diverticulitis, and they said if they didn't get in enough fiber, then they were in trouble. So I was asking, like, well, what does fiber do to help with that? So they gave it's kind of like the standard response to what you'd get from any health professional. Fiber helps clean out the insides and it helps move things along and stuff like that. So I looked up a couple studies and I posted it, but at that point the person had left the group. And I was like, oh, that's kind of sad. Like I was hoping to have a conversation about it. It's like, it's not that I have to be right, but I want the person to be able to explain what they believe and what they think it's doing. And if they notice, like, let's say that they cut out fiber. Let's say you cut it out for a while, just for like 2 weeks and see what happens. Are you going to get better or get worse? So, but again, it's like I said, I understand like the fear there. So it's like when the people are, they come in our group and they may have had a heart attack or they've been diagnosed with heart disease. Just, I don't know how they can diagnose that unless there's massive testing. Because normally all they do, as far as I know, is when doctors see the cholesterol levels, they just prescribe statins. That's not a diagnosis. That's just them trying to bring the cholesterol down, which isn't a good thing. So anyway, I understand people coming into the group and then, when they've got the heart issues going on with their doctors and stuff, and then I tell them that red meat and saturated fats are okay. I understand the problem there. So I understand the skepticism and stuff like that. But I've seen so many health professionals turn their thinking around, and it's been interesting to watch it, even with my husband as a pharmacist, and then the girl who's doing the classes with me. She also turned around reading the studies and everything, and then watching the people in the group who are having success. And that's what you have to see to change your mind. You have to see the evidence. So anyway, I'm going to go wash my hands and get some coffee. Coffee is a mix of s'mores coffee and then this Faith Blend by 7 Weeks Coffee. The Faith Blend is supposed to be kind of like chocolatey overtones or something like that, but I haven't tried it by itself yet, so I don't know 100%, but I mix it with other coffees, and oh my goodness, it tastes so good. I got my butter, got my cream, and got a little bit of salt. I always have to reheat this. It's never hot enough. But anyway, let's see. Back to the people leaving the group. There was another one who left, but they were saying how they cannot eat dinner without bread. And I asked, what does that mean? I don't know, to make a claim that when someone claims that they can't do something, I'm always curious as to why. I'm assuming if you say something like, well, I can't eat bread without, or I can't eat dinner without bread, I'm assuming that you're saying that because you really, really enjoy bread. But surely there's another way around if the bread raises your blood sugar. And that's one of the things I think is hard for people to get coming into the group is well, why do we say to keep your blood sugar low? Isn't it okay if it goes up every once in a while? Well, I don't know. I've read enough about the damage and seen enough videos of people saying, they were losing their eyesight, their kidneys were failing, people had to have their toes cut off or their foot or their leg. To me, that kind of damage isn't worth it. Even if it's just every once in a while, it's why would you do that to yourself? Now, I'm not faulting anyone for struggling. I get the struggle. Those of you who've been around long enough, you know that I struggled to give up sugar even when I started this way of eating. So now here's the thing. I hate to say this because it sounds like an excuse, but it's I didn't have diabetes, or I wasn't diagnosed with diabetes, so therefore I thought I was safe. Now, honestly, I was just tricking myself. I know now that the reactions my system was having was specifically to the sugar. The sugar was doing all kinds of damage. I just didn't see it that way. And that's one of the biggest hurdles to overcome is the mental aspect. It's you have to grab onto the idea and hang on to it that it's causing damage. It is causing damage. Do you want to keep the damage going for the sake of the food? No. So anyway, I hope that didn't sound like I was trying to shame anybody, because like I said, it's I've been there. I know what it's like. I also know the denial aspect of it, because raise my hand. It's I was there too. Praise God, He's given me the strength to move away from that, though. I don't want to go back to feeling like I did anytime I had sugar. I don't like the mental battle that I had every time. I will say, here's something that was interesting this week. I generally don't ever snack unless I'm actually hungry for it. And this week I saw how quickly that could shift into snacking all the time, even though I'm not hungry. So the one night I was getting some cheese ready, helping my daughter food prep for herself. So I'm shredding cheese and I'm cutting up cheese and I'm having little bites of it here and there. And it tasted good and I didn't have any stomach issues from it. I'm oh, well, there you go. There's a free pass. So the next day I snacked on cheese twice. And I'm like, okay. And then, we're starting to pull that thread. It's starting to unravel. And it's like, I'm starting to think, well, I can go and have some more. And I'm like, oh, you're not even hungry. Why are you going to go eat? So I had to make that commitment and say, you do not eat unless you're hungry. So it's back to 3 meals a day. I did have some butter last night before I went to bed, but I was actually hungry. So yeah, I have to make sure that hang on to that. So that's why I say it's like I'm not sitting there judging people or saying, that they're terrible because they can't because they can't give things up or because they're struggling. I get the struggle. So there's no judgment on that. So this is 89 grams of the steak and the cheesy eggs, and some butter takes us right up to 100. And that's it for now. I'll see you guys when I get my next cup of coffee. Second cup of coffee. This is the Faith Blend again, mixed with some coconut cream with heavy cream, butter, and salt. Lunch, as you can see in the picture, was some reheated meatballs with a side of stracciatella cheese, and coffee was a mix of, let me see, I actually don't remember now. My goodness, what a day. Anyway, dinner is these chicken tacos. Recipe is coming. That was a lot of food. That was way more than I would normally eat. But what was really cool was that for the rest of the night, I really didn't feel like I had eaten anything. That was nice. Like, I wasn't overly full. It was fine. The power went out towards the end of the night. That was interesting. It was fine. I mean, it was one of the coldest nights ever. But it was very funny because my daughter started acting out Return of the Jedi with some stuffed animals and little figurines. So that was a blast. Anyway, thankfully it did come back on just as I was going to sleep. So that was that. But anyway, it was a very interesting day. Thank you so much for watching. This video is brought to you by my faith in the Lord Jesus Christ, who has everything you need and nothing you don't. Bye.